Hello and welcome everyone, it's Lainey. So I wanted to do a video about handy sort of weight loss tips, basically things that I do. I kind of think that most people know all this sort of stuff, but I just thought I'd put it together into a video and see what you thought, and maybe there'd be little bits in there that you never thought of, or that you realised that you did, or something like that, and it might help, you never know. So I'm not going to number them, I'm just going to sort of say each thing, and I've just wrote myself a little note. Hopefully it'll nudge us in the right direction and I won't go into um, all areas of everything like I do usually. So the first thing is drinking water. I mean, we all know we need to drink water, but maybe, and I do now, but in the past, before, I confused hunger and water, and I didn't actually know when I was thirsty or when I was hungry, because I used to, if ever I felt anything, I would just eat. So therefore, I barely drank anything. I mean, I would drink fizzy pop sometimes, but I clearly remember going full days with not having a drink whatsoever. And it's really bad to say now, because I drink I have water bottles, which these are 700 ml ones, and I have about 3 cups of tea a day. I, I don't really drink anything fizzy or anything now. I think I've had one glass of fizzy pop in about, must be over a year, I think. Um, but this, I have about sort of probably 3 of these a day, so that's 2,100. I sometimes have like up to 4, because I get them filled 4 times, like twice a day, which is like, I've got 2 of these bottles, so yeah. So I usually have at least 2,100, and then I have 3 cups of tea as well, every day. So that really helps. Also, you know, there's a few things that I've been told, and hopefully this helps. But if you, I know a lot of people sometimes just think, oh well, I'll just drink loads of water and that way I'll not feel hungry. But apparently what happens is, when you do drink loads of water, because um, your body sort of drains it straight away and it's really quick, so therefore it kind of stretches your stomach. And then, so if you do it, especially if you do it say before food, and you think, oh well, if I have a pint of water and then I eat, then I'm not going to be as hungry, so I'll not eat as much. But what I've been told is that if you drink a pint of water, it sort of drains away pretty quickly, and so in turn it stretches your stomach as it does. So therefore, then when you do eat, your stomach's stretched, and so therefore you'll feel more hungry. And what the best thing to do is to drink while you eat, not at the same time, like some people do. I mean, each their own and all that. But if you drink, like, sort of, have a drink of water, have a few mouthfuls, have a drink of water, have a few mouthfuls, and then what happens is that, if you can imagine your stomach as a sieve, if you just pour water in it, it's going to pour straight out. But if you have like water mixed with a food, which will make some sort of gloopy, sort of stew type consistency, when it does go in your stomach, it'll be more like a drip slowly like a sieve, so therefore it'll keep you fuller for longer. And it makes sense to me. I'm sure I watched this on a program on the BBC one time, and it made complete sense to me. So hopefully it'll make sense to you too, and I've explained it properly, so that'll be good. The next thing is eating more fruit, veg, and salad. Everybody knows, it's not it's not me like making out like I'm talking some sort of rocket science language here, but and to be honest, I'm terrible for this as well, because I eat a bit of fruit, mostly in the summer, I've noticed. I eat loads of salad, but veg I've been always lacking. and I've improved that myself in the last sort of week or so, and it's really helped in terms of making us feel fuller. And because I was starting to feel really hungry, and if I'm having like half a plate of veg and whatever meal I'm having, and it's not that I don't like veg, because I really do like veg, but there's also, like, if you don't like it, there's other ways you can put it into your food. So if you like mashed potato, you can mix it into your mashed potato, especially the likes of uh, turnip, and things like that, where you can mash it in and it makes it taste nicer. I don't know if, like, other people have, like, well, I'm assuming most people would have done bubble and squeak and things like that, but that's another way, because I always think that it's nice, especially if you add um, something like corned beef to it or whatever, and then stir it up and then warm it through in the um, frying pan, especially if you've had like a dinner the day before, so then you've got leftover veg, um, and that's really nice. So yeah, it's not rocket science, that because they are lower in calories. I still think you need to watch your portion sizes on anything that you have. It is recommended to have sort of half a plate of veg or half a plate of salad in a meal, if you know what I mean. Um, but especially some fruit, because they can be quite high in calories. I mean, I obviously calorie count. I know other people don't, but um, like, bananas are usually about 150 calories, or for an average medium sized banana. So I mean, if you haven't sort of 3 or 4 of them a day sometimes, and you're not realizing that the calorie in them is sort of creating 600 calories, but you're using it as a filler. So like everything, it's moderation, isn't it? But they are really good ways of bulking up your food, and obviously they are absolutely full of nutrients, which is great for your body. Helps skin, hair, everything really. Um, and also, like, for veg itself, steaming it is the best way, because you lose so much more of the vitamins in. Um, Obviously, but boiling is the most harsh. So if you boil it, most of the vitamins are in the water. I mean, I'm assuming that if, say, like, the most of the nutrients are in the water, or vitamins, whatever, um, I'm assuming that if you then use the water, if, like, you were making some sort of stew or something, then it would be okay. I'm not really sure on that. Um, but I have a steamer, and it's just brilliant, because it takes 10-15 minutes or something. You just put it all in there, and it's so simple. Um, so yeah, also the next thing would be to sort of slow down when you eat, and also to monitor your portion size. Um, I was terrible for eating too fast, so I would just sort of shovel it all in, and I wouldn't enjoy it, nor would I take notice of, like, if I was doing something else, I'd completely forget that I'd eaten, because I wasn't paying attention at the time. So it's good to sort of take that time out to eat, so that you remember that you did one, to eat it slowly, because apparently it takes 20 minutes for your stomach to alert your brain that you're full. So if like me in the past, I used to shovel it all in 10 minutes. Obviously, I had 10 minutes extra of feeling hungry, and probably ate, well, never just not just probably ate, definitely ate way too more than I should have, and so um, didn't give my stomach time to tell my brain. So there's that side of it, but also the portion size of it is just a case of, you know, um, it's so easy to not realize how much food that you're putting on your plate, sort of thing. And especially these days, because dinner plates are huge, aren't they now? And so I was always a sort of pilot high, high and wide kind of person. Um, so I think what I find is good is that, as I have one plate that it's classed as like a lunch plate, so it's a bit smaller. So, like, when I'm having my food, I don't feel like the food's lost on the plate, basically. Not so much when you're having sort of veg with stuff, because obviously you can fill half the plate with the veg, but like when you're having, say, maybe a pasta dish or something like that, to have it look lost in the middle of the plate. makes you then think that you're not eating enough. It's kind of, I can't think of the word, where you're tricking your mind or something like that, but I know what I mean. So that's all that matters, isn't it? No, obviously not. Um, the next thing is to don't to monitor your expectations, really. Monitor your expectations, and also don't have ridiculous ridiculous what's the word, like ridiculous targets type of thing. So sort of um be realistic, really, is what I'm trying to say, I guess, in terms of, obviously, I remember thinking this to myself: oh, if I lost 10 stone, I'm still going to be, massively obese, and I still am massively obese, despite the fact that I've lost over 18 stone. But I don't look at the bigger picture. I look at like the next pound down, and I think it makes a massive difference to me to be able to sort of go about it sort of every, obviously not getting weighed as often isn't as easy, but it just gives us that if I don't look at the bigger picture, as long as I'm losing, that's the main thing. And so, and I mean, I think I lost, what, the last time I got weighed, I lost 3.5, was it 3.5 pounds in 17 weeks? I'm hoping for more. I'll get weighed again in 2 weeks. I'm hoping for more, but as long as it's going down, that's the main thing. And someone, I was reading someone's post on Instagram, and they'd lost £2 in a week, and they were really disappointed. And I thought to myself, I mean, I actually said, I commented and just said, like, don't look at it as a disappointment. You're losing. And if you think about it, if you got a bag of sugar which weighs £2, and you had to carry that bag of sugar about with you all day, it would be annoying, you know. And if you think that looking at that bag of sugar that you've lost that in fat, it puts it more in perspective, I think. And I remember what I did years ago, which is what I've suggested others before, is I used to buy, every time I lost weight, I'd buy the equivalent weight in cheap flour. This was back in like when we had quick saves, and I think the flour was something like 12 or 17 pence or whatever it was. And I mean, I lost before 3 stone 2 altogether, and trying to carry that up the stairs is a lot. Is a lot, and it's one way of sort of having a visual effect of what you've lost, because I think sometimes we can lose that, if you know what I mean. So we don't realise how big of a deal it is, and I mean how hard it is anyway. So therefore, every time you lose in, whether it be a pound a week or £2 a week or whatever, it's or £3.5 in 17 weeks, it's losing, and it means you're not gaining as well. Because if you think, well, I know for me personally, had I not been doing what I was doing, had I not changed to a healthier lifestyle, then I would definitely have been gaining weight, that's for sure. So you can look at it that way. But your body changes constantly, so you whether it be with the fluid intake that you've had, so you could be retaining water, whether it be for ladies that it's time of the month, whether you've been working out more, and so that's had an effect. And you could be changing shape, physically changing shape, because you're gaining muscle, and although obviously a pound of muscle and a pound of fat looks the same, a pound of muscle is more, I was going to say contoured there, but if you imagine that a pound of muscle and this is a pound of fat. So what's that word I'm trying to think of? I can't think. Obviously the fat takes up more space, so therefore it would make you look bigger. So another thing to do would be also to, if you can, to measure, because then you've also got that maybe even if you'd stayed the same way 1 week, you may have realised you've lost a couple of inches overall. So it still is having an effect on you. Um, so going back to the being realistic thing, it's also the time scales. Don't put ridiculous time scales. I used to do it myself. You know, it would get to the new year, start on the new year, and I'd say, right, by June I'm going to lose 5 stone. June was my birthday, so I'd get there June and I've lost 3.5 stone. And instead of being like so positive and happy on the 3.5 stone I'd lost, I'd be so devastated by the fact that I'd failed to reach the 5 stone that I'd set myself, and then go on a spiral down, which is madness now that I think about it. But it's what I did. You know, I would guilt trip myself so bad that I would always end up feeling worse about it. I would always end up feeling like a failure. I had to focus on the negative. And you know, even if you do gain, even if you stay the same, whatever, you know, it's not the end of the world. You know, that one thing make isn't gonna end the whole of what you've done. So, you know, for instance, if you've lost 20 pounds and then one week you gain a pound, that still doesn't discount the 19 pound that you've already lost. It's just a case of allowing it, just saying what's happened, because there's nothing you can do. It happened, so you allow it, you get over it, and you move forward. I'm not saying that it's easy to get over it, because I know I've been there, that I really struggled, especially with the guilt tripping myself. But it, it, I think the reason that I find it better or easier now is that I do allow myself these things. So for instance, today I've had a dime bar, you know, that's not gonna, I mean, it was 150 calories. I counted it in my calories. I've had mushrooms on toast. I've had a salad. I've had, what else did I have this morning? No, I had a sandwich and things. Um, and I had enough calories left, so I had a dime bar. And I wanted some chocolate. I wanted some chocolate yesterday, and what I usually say to myself is, if you still want chocolate tomorrow, then I'll get you chocolate. You know what I mean, kind of thing. Because sometimes, you know, I can just think, oh, fancy something because I've seen it, and 99% of the time I'll like forget about it by the next day. But the next day I still wanted chocolate, so like I said, I had a dime bar included in my calories. And you know, you can have a couple of treats every day and it won't affect you as long as you account for it. I know that not everyone calorie counts, so it could be like different ways of whatever your diet plan, I hate the word diet, but your healthier eating plan works for you. But yeah, and sometimes I think the diet choices, so then for you know, you get like the healthier versions of things, they're not always quite as good as they seem. They may be slightly less in calories, but then in terms of fats and things like that, they're not actually that good. And just you have to be careful sometimes, and sometimes foregoing the taste, I think, isn't worth it. And I think if you really love something, incorporate it into your diet, because I think the second you ban it, then you're just going to want it more. At least that's how it is for me. And I've done it many a times. You know, I've like wiped my whole house out of every food that like I could possibly, you know, have that would put weight on us, and I've literally been like, right, all I'm doing is having a sniff of air, a glass of water, and a lettuce leaf. You know what I mean? And it's just as bad for you to sort of be that extreme, in the sense of, you know, you're not feeding your body. Your body's going to try and store and keep it. It'll lower your metabolism. So you're not. It's basically just getting the balance right for you, really, and working out what you need that'll help you to stick to it. So, you know, if you really like chocolate, you can have a bit of chocolate every day, is what I'm saying. It's just that you have to monitor it. Obviously, if you have a whole tin of Quality Street every day, that's not going to work. You know what I mean? So it's just a case of monitoring it. So allowing yourself to have those things, and it may be that for you, on a night, having your couple of little treats that maybe consist of a couple of 100 calories or whatever it does, that you've saved up. And if you're having those, but the rest of the day you're having veg and fruit and salads and soups and stuff with a lot of nutrient foods in, then there's no reason why you can't have those little bits of treats or whatever it is that you want to call it, that you love, and incorporate it into to the healthier eating that you're doing. Because I think, for me personally, I just think if you take the fun out of it, then you kind of already sort of setting yourself up to sort of fail, in my view. So if you take away every single thing that you love, like, and not allow yourself to have them, then it becomes a bigger deal, I think, in terms of you thinking that's all you're going to think about. Where if you think, oh well, I really like crisps, I'm going to allow myself to have them uh, 2 or 3 times a week or whatever, and I'm going to allow myself to have a little bit of chocolate every day and whatever like that. Or if you really like fizzy pop or whatever, and you're going to allow yourself a can of fizzy pop um, even once a day, you know what I mean? As long as like the rest of what you're having is good nutrient foods, and I really have I don't see the problem with it, but that's how it works better for me. I know everyone's not the same, but I just find it much easier that way, because I kind of think, well, if I'm allowed it, then there's no guilt, you know what I mean? If I don't take it all away, then I don't want it more. So that's the way I look at it anyway. um, and like I said, in the same thing, it's about not punishing yourself, making sure you eat enough, because if you just starve yourself and you're going from like 3,000 calories and then all of a sudden you're eating 600, your body's just gonna like have a reaction to that, as I say, well, we've got to like stop these calories from burning. So yeah, you may initially lose a bit of weight, you may initially lose 3 or 4 stone or whatever in a short space of time, but then over the longer term, you will struggle, because what will happen is you'll have lost this weight, then your metabolism will have dropped, and then if you do give up, because in my view it's not sustainable to live like that, you're going to feel, you would feel, you know crappy, in terms of like energy levels and things like that. And so therefore, you'd probably most likely end up binging, because I kind of think that binging comes in two forms. There's the binging that's linked to your mind, which mine was. It kind of wasn't binging, it was like just constant eating, so it got to that anyway. And then there's the binging where you go on, I don't know, so many diets a year, and every time you might start one every few weeks type of thing. And every time you do it for so long, but it's not sustainable. And so then you binge, and then you feel guilty, and then you try another diet, and then again it's not sustainable, so then you binge, and it becomes a circle. So you're not actually binge eating because it's linked to your mental health, you're binge eating because it's linked to the fact that you're starving yourself. um, so yeah, that's the other thing. um, so I've covered enjoying what you love. I've mentioned portion size. I've done about not guilt tripping yourself and punishing yourself and making sure you eat enough. I've done drinking water and eating fruit and veg. I've done allowing yourself to have the things you love. I've talked about not looking at the whole picture, not giving yourself massive targets, not expecting too much, being realistic and understanding that your body changes constantly. Next thing would be to meal plan if you can. I mean, I try and do a few days at a time, or at least sort of like 7 days, even if I don't put them in the order that I've picked them in. I try and have something, so that way I'm less likely to sort of think, we'll just get a takeaway, it's fine, do you know what I mean? I also allow myself to have takeaways, usually about every 6 weeks, or I kind of keep them every 4 to 6 weeks, or I kind of keep them, and on those days, what also I do is I'll have something really light for breakfast, something really light for dinner, so I'm keeping most of my calories for the takeaway, and then I tend not to go over my maintenance, which is means that I'm not actually gaining any weight from it, hopefully. um, and also but I find that I'm not needing them as much, because I guess I allow it, if that makes sense. And so I also like I have a sort of Christmas day off, and then I'm not as I'm a bit more yeah, so I have Christmas Day off, and then I'm a bit more relaxed on sort of Christmas Eve and Boxing Day, and I also have New Year's Eve off, and I also have my birthday off. So you know, those few days a year in the longer term isn't going to, you know, spoil the whole thing, kind of thing. And having the occasional takeaway or the occasional night or the occasional treat for Mother's Day or birthday or whatever, again, it's not going to spoil the whole thing. It's what you're doing over, it's the consistency over the longer term is what helps really. And it's also, like I said, to meal plan, but then also to write everything down, because I think sometimes, and we're all guilty of it, not realising we've had it, you know what I mean? I've had something to eat, because you're doing it, like I said earlier, within other things, or you're not thinking about it as in terms of, um, you know, maybe you're just grabbing something on the go as it was. Whereas, like, if you write it all down, it can sort of make you understand your eating habits, you know, when you prefer to eat, and also like um, what you need to do and what you need to change to improve things if things aren't working out as well. And it does become a habit. I, you know, religiously do mine, whether I'm on a off-plan day type of thing, like for my birthday or something, I still do it. Um, and like, I mean, on my last birthday, I logged it all, and I was just short of 4,000 calories, which, like, my normal calories is meant to be about 1,980. I usually have about 1,850. So yeah, it was quite a lot more. But I enjoyed it, and that's the main thing. The next thing is to swap your carbs. If you do have carbs, I do have carbs. I love carbs. I'm not going to get away from it. I'm not one of them who can have lower carbs, and you know, hats off to those who can. It's just not something that I can do personally. I love bread. Um, I do like pasta and rice and stuff, and so, and potatoes and things. So yeah, it's, I'll keep my carbs, but I'll just swap them. So I tend to have I don't have like the white pasta, white rice, or white bread anymore, white cereals or anything like that. Not that I massively have cereal either. So, but yeah, I tend to go for the whole grains and the whole meal, just because they have a higher fibre content, but also they have a slower release. And so when you have white pasta or rice or bread, it gives you a sugars a high spike and then a massive drop. So you can kind of, I guess it's good for short bursts of energy needed. Um, but when you have the whole grains versions, um, it's harder for your body to break down the grain, and so therefore the food's released more slowly, keeps you fuller for longer, and it also has a high content of fibre. Fibre is actually a carbohydrate, and it, like, unlike other carbohydrates, it doesn't turn into sugar. It goes through your body into your gut, and if it's not needed by your gut, it's then just passed through you, so you don't gain the calories off it as such. Um, so yeah, that's another thing. And I think um, the only other thing really is just to be positive, kind of believe in yourself, and, you know, take one day at a time. If you fall, get back up. You know, start afresh the next day. You know, one day isn't going to hurt a whole year, if you know what I mean. And just try and put some fun back into it, really. Um, Obviously, if you can exercise, do. I'd love to be able to exercise, unfortunately. I can do little bits of leg lifts and things like that, but because I'm physically because I'm physically unable to walk, then obviously it limits what I can do. But I think also when it comes to exercises, I would love to do things that I would like. So, for instance, I know I would like to swim again, and I know I would like to dance. But if someone said go to the gym and run on the spot, it's not for me. I mean, hats off to those who can do it, but I've never been one for the gym. I used to think it was a swear word. So, but yeah, but stay positive. I'm sure you're all aware of these tips, as it were. And I just, oh, the only other thing I would say is to educate yourself as well, because there was so much about like how the body worked and how food worked in the body that I didn't know, and I think it massively helped me to have an understanding of how it all works, type of thing. So, and I know that there's loads of confusing information out there, but the BBC did have some good like mini, is it documentaries? What they're called? Not sure, but they used to have these things where it was like the truth about carbs, the truth about sugar, the truth about this, the truth about that. So it might be paid to have a look to see if they're still there, because I learned a lot from those and other people throughout the time, and just doing Google and watching things and learning more. And I think it really helps. Right, I've waffled enough, so I'm just going to end things here. As I said before, stay positive, believe in yourself, you can do it, just look for the next pound, and you'll get there. You'll get there. And it's not until you look back, 6 months from now, and you're looking back, you'll see how far you've come, and you'll be proud. Right, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and do a little dance. What dance can you do this time? I need to stop saying this, don't I? I really need to stop saying this. Yeah, don't dance. You don't have to. There's no law against it. But just do it if you feel like it. Anyway, thanks very much. Bye.